welcome to 30 Plays in 30 Days, a live arts retrospective. My name is Shelby Marie Edwards. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm the development coordinator here at Live Arts and your host for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and for bearing with some of the technical difficulties we had earlier today. Tonight, we will be talking about the 1995-1996 season at Live Arts, and in a moment, I will be joined by some fabulous ensemble members of Live Arts that will include Kay Ferguson, Matthew Reynolds, Tim Reed, James Sanford, Michael Swanberg, and Reynolds is facilitating tonight as well, who will be behind the scenes. Next, I want to go ahead and recognize our community shout out for tonight. Many thanks to Common House. I've been a member at Common House for a little under a year. In addition to it being just a really wonderful workspace, I usually go there for breakfast and things. They've hosted quite a few parties for Live Arts over the past year. During this time of physical distancing, you can order takeout from them. They've been so stellar every time I order from them. You can just visit their website at www.commonhouse.com. And without further ado, we're going to have Kay Ferguson join us. You know what? I was going to set up a clock, but I'm actually not going to because I don't trust myself to not talk too much. Kay, can you join us?
Yes, thanks for having me.
Hey. So real quick, Kay, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your relationship to Live Arts, and then maybe what you're up to now?
I'm Kay Ferguson. Was involved in live art starting in 1995, the year we're focused on tonight. I came down there because I think 7-year-old daughter wanted to audition for A Christmas Carol. I hadn't done theater for a long time, and I went with her, and we ended up doing it. And I was so taken with this community and what they were doing, the quality of what they were doing, that I stayed for more than 20 years. So I serve Live Arts as actor, director, founder of the education program, board member, board officer, janitor, teacher, fundraiser for that. Used up all the bad manners from my entire life doing that, for sure. And yeah. And now I'm bringing the arts to environmental work in Virginia with a group called Artivism Virginia.
That's great. I love the term artivism. I think that's important. We talked about this when we did it yesterday, but I think we're at a time where art can't simply be for entertainment, like consumption only.
Yes, although in the darkest times is when the clowns, are needed most. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Well, in the 1995 season, Ray, why don't you start us down memory lane? During the 1995-1996 season, Live Arts did a few shows, including Borderlands, as well as A Christmas Carol.
Oh, I think you're looking there at Borderlands there.
Borderlands. There you go. That's A Christmas Carol. We also did Confessions of a Nightingale, I believe.
Oh, amazing pair of shows. Look at him, Doug Schneider, just inhabiting that character so fully. It was beautiful work. And yes, this also beautiful performance, Dinah Pearson, gorgeous.
Amazing. We had the 3rd annual playoffs. That was another one. We also did Sondheim's Assassins, which I'm not seeing this. I think I'm pretty good about Sondheim things, so I'm gonna have to put that in my to-do list. We also have Beckett's Endgame.
I mean, we were doing such wonderful, edgy work. And the thing was, too, that the programming was really very much shaped by what the passions and talents of the ensemble were, And so if you really, really wanted to do a piece, you could do it. That gets harder when you get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Keithley there, rocking it.
That's Kristen? Oh my God!
I
love that.
Yes. Fran Sackett's directing just all over the beginning of this theater, just tireless work, wonderful, brilliant work.
That's great. That's amazing. We also had The Visit, which we're going to chat a little bit more about today, which I'm really excited about. Um, and then I think the last show in the season was Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Boomy Peterson. Now there you're looking at The Visit again, but Boomy was taking that role to horrifying depths. Uh, I remember seeing it in the Nine Lives of the Arts. We used to have the gala, and it was kind of an honor to have a scene from your show from the previous season chosen to be one of the nine acts. And it was so smart because people who didn't go to the theater quite as much as some of us theater rats could get a sampler of the work
Mm-hmm.
and understand, what they wanted to see and who they wanted to see. But I remember being in a very small space with Boomy doing this role, and it was scary. It was
That's
so
great.
good. It was scary. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Boomy is just super wonderful. I'm such a fan of her. She does amazing work.
Nature.
What what was your favorite role at Live Arts throughout your years here?
Well, certainly Claire Zakhanasian from The Visit was a privilege to perform. And for me, it was really a homecoming to the theater. I had gone away for a while and um, had been very involved in family and taking care of people and babies and all that. And so to
Mhm.
come roaring out with this opportunity was a huge, huge, joyous thing. And then I would say the roles that I was fortunate enough to play in Angels in America would probably come in there close too.
Mhm.
But I had such great opportunities to perform there. Again, it because it's this wonderful hybrid between community and professional and local and regional theater. It's you have that opportunity to lobby for and probably be able to do what you're interested in.
That's awesome. Well, were you I don't know if it's like where did you discover Live Arts and then you loved the script, or did you after you did A Christmas Carol you read the script and you were like, oh, I need to do this. So I guess what drew you to this show specifically?
I knew the script. I knew Dormont. I had directed the physicists of his in college, and I just loved that, and still love that kind of spare stage, full imagination, ensemble people creating the atmosphere of the trees, the cuckoo,
Mhm.
that kind of, I call it European clowning, sort of physical text-based theater. And he also gets to the heart of some very real truths in everything that he writes. So I was attracted to the work. And then, Gibson was a force. And the idea of doing something offsite at that kind of iconic location was very appealing too, although difficult.
Mhm.
Very, yes. No,
You know what?
it was hot, and there was no stage, and the space was full of pigeons. Um, Actually, in one way that we didn't quite realize, I think I shared with you that there was a moment when the coal from one of the coal chutes released in
Mhm.
the middle of the show, and 60 seconds before it did that, this new volunteer actor, Anna, was standing in that spot. I mean, if 60 seconds later, and it would not have been a funny story, but this
Mhm. Mhm.
huge tons of coal came dropping down, and if you had been watching it, you would have thought we planned it. And it turned out it was this weird combination of coal and pigeon skeletons.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ugh. Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
they were very attracted to the wedding dress that Clara wears in the last scene.
Mhm.
So for some reason, this white dress just lit them up, and they would start bombing me. And I remember Corey Lloyd swiping the pigeon poop off me right before I went on stage. Yeah, but not stage, no stage, gravel. Literally 20 feet from the railroad tracks. So there was train. The timing of the trains was seemingly unknowable. And so we had to pause, or some people had good train karma and some people didn't. I had good train karma. I was supposed to arrive by train in the first scene, and almost every night, like that train would come rolling in right before I did. I love that. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think
But
it's wonderful that y'all took so many photos, especially now because I live kind of near where the coal tower thing is. There are like apartments over there, and I just love that y'all were able to preserve that part of live arts history and Charlottesville history too.
it was such a perfect symbol because, it was this huge rusting leftover of something that had been ruined or left behind, had gone to waste. And then it became the site of a tragedy some years later. There was a shooting there, a terrible thing. And then now it's gone along its capitalist journey to being condominiums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But,
these photos.
but I also remember pulling up in so the call, it was still daylight, and and the sun would set during the course of the show. This scene right here, um, the actor Tony Powell is just a deeply, deeply talented actor and friend, and he and I would get to that sort of quote unquote odd love scene in the wood, and it would be about sunset. So you got this gorgeous, gorgeous light, which of course when Will Kerner's taking a picture, the light is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But that's Claire and Tony. So it's an interesting story. And it's an interesting story for this time too, because it's really about, at its heart, the corrupting influence of too much wealth in the wrong hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could you set the scene for us? Before we dive too deep into the
Okay.
reading of it.
Sure. So the scene is that there's a small town in Europe, and there's been a war, but the towns around them have recovered, and their economies are flourishing, and everyone's doing well except this one place, and it's just blighted. All the factories have closed, all the banks have closed, there's no money, there's no jobs. People are just stuck in this dead end place. There's no there's no way forward. And they don't know why. And they're getting ready, when the play opens, they're getting ready to welcome home their most famous town daughter, who is Claire Zakanassian, and she has gone on to become the richest woman in the world. So they're very glad to see her. They want to see her, and they're rewriting their memory of her and their history of her, um, and she shows up, and they push forward her teenage lover to be with her, and that's where that scene in the woods is. And it turns out that he was quite he there was a treachery involved with him and with the town, and she was sent away sort of penniless and barefoot and pregnant, and now she's back, and she wants to help the town, and she makes them a very good offer, but she has a condition that's a little bit chilling, and I won't say what, because uh, it's in the scene that we're going to read for you, so I'll let that unfold.
Okay, well, I'm so excited to see you read again today. So, Kay will be reading the part of Claire. Matthew Reynolds. What?
One more story though. I just
Yes,
want to
yay! Yes, I love story. Okay, yes.
one more story. I just want to say that, like, during this whole production rehearsal period, every afternoon, late afternoon, when I pull up to this long alley beside the train tracks and look
Mhm.
down it, I would see the same thing, and that would be John Gibson standing in front of someone who was either angry or frustrated and gesticulating wildly, and you could tell even from far away when you couldn't hear them that they were telling him that what he was trying to do there was impossible.
Mhm.
It would be a different person every day. And he would just listen, listen, listen. And then you could also see from a distance without hearing the words, convince them to not only let him do it, but help him do it. And that was his style. He really hung our butts out in the wind, And then we all with a beautiful, challenging vision. And sometimes you just wanted to kill him, but mostly you just wanted to help him. And he inspired that. So uh,
I love that. I hope that I have yet to build a deep relationship with John, but I'm working on it, and I hope that part rubs off on me.
wondered that, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Kay. We're gonna up. So I forgot I have a spiel before we go into the reading. Thank you. Let's move on. Oh, we're going to move on to the next part of the evening. Tonight, we're going to read a short section of The Visit by Friedrich Dormant. And we are joined now by Kay, of course, who's reading Claire. Matthew Reynolds will be reading the part of Ill. Tim Reed will be reading The Mayor. James Sanford will be reading The Blind Pair. And Michael Swanberg will be reading The Butler. And then yours truly will be reading the stage directions. All right, is everybody ready to jump in? Are we? You good? Oh, hi. Okay, great. Awesome. All righty. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Can I get a thumbs up from friends? Awesome. Great. Oh my goodness. Thank you. God, that was so good. Thank you so much for this fabulous cast for doing this reading. Oh my goodness, that was so good.
So the very next scene, everyone starts skipping into his store and charging things on credit. And while they say how much they love him and they think she's awful and it's just a preposterous idea, but they start charging.
Really?
It's creepy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, what was your favorite part about that particular reading? Or did you have any flashbacks of the original show?
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of flashbacks.
Oh,
I mean, I think that this whole walk down memory lane that Live Arts is doing is bringing up lots of old good memories and nostalgia and melancholy. And I think part of the melancholy we feel right now is just a concern for. We know that what we do in the theater, in bringing people together in the same space to feel the same feelings and respond to the same story and challenges and songs and all the things that the theater brings together is vitally important to our culture, our survival, our democracy, our common agreements that hold the whole thing together. And right now, we can't figure out quite how to do it. And we know we've got to like tighten our belts and get through a really tough time. But I think we have to remember to hold on during this challenge to the things we want to be there after it's over. And we've all had a lot of
mhm.
time to think about what's really important, right, in this lockdown
Yeah.
situation. So I hope that Live Arts will be able to skinny through this and come back to this community and continue to give what it has given for 30 years. And I hope that people will be generous and help them make that passage.
Mhm. I agree. Thank you so much. You know, I don't have to preach to the choir, but Live Arts has always been a young, scrappy group. So I know we'll power through it. I don't know exactly when that will be. I don't think we have an official time frame, but I know that when we get to the end, Live Arts will definitely still be here. Well, thank you so much to our digital audience who joined us during this time. If you feel so moved to do so, I do encourage you to please donate to our Forging Ahead campaign. If you were checking in a few days ago, we did have John Gibson's glowing review, which meant a lot to the Live Arts people, past, present, and future. So he's been helping us with that as well. And you can find the link. We'll post it somewhere, maybe down below. I don't really know, but you can go to www.livearts.donate, or you can shoot me an email. It's Shelby@livearts, and I'm more than happy to help you process your gift over the phone or whatever way is easiest for you. Thank you so much, Kay, for joining us. You mean the world to me. And be sure to join us tomorrow evening. We're going to have Will Kerner and Jerry Shermer. Thank you again, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.